Hi, everyone. Welcome to the gathering. It's David Ault, and I am always so humbled and so grateful that you want to spend a few minutes of your time here with me. Thank you. It always means such a great deal to hear from you and to know that you're watching. This past week, I had a stress test, and maybe you have known me for a while, or if you're new here, I'll just tell you that I was born into a cardiac adventure, a family that had a genetic predisposition for a heart condition. And that has been something that I have navigated my entire life. So here I am having a stress test in order to explore now all things vascular. And I'm lying there and I'm in awe. I'm in gratitude for the fact that here I am and what I have available to me is this technology, this machine, this ability for the injection to show up the radioactivity on the screen and provide information. What a long way we have come. But I'm also humbled too, because I had a phone call with a friend of mine, a dear person who was a mentor to me, is a friend to me, who is also navigating cardiac issues. And unlike my particular journey, um, didn't have as much privilege, didn't have as much awareness or opportunity. And many of the choices that were made over the years were sort of like avoidance, like pushing things into a closet and shutting the door, and I'll deal with that later. And now there is some things going on, and they asked me if I would walk this journey with them. And I said, absolutely. And as we explored and talked about all those things, here I am having my own stress test and seeing just what a great gift that I have been given. And as I was thinking about that, I couldn't help but go back to the moment in time when I was told that I have hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, when the actual condition or the diagnosis was given a name. And that came about because my oldest sister died. She died of what's called sudden death syndrome, which comes from hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And basically, what that is that we were all born with this malfunction of the lining of the atrial and the ventricle, where it is thickened. The gradients level of the wall of that is so thick by comparison to what is considered normal, that it impedes blood flow. And over time, the thickening advances, the gradient becomes even larger in scope, and it prevents the heart from doing what it does, which is pumping blood, which is circulating blood. And the symptoms from that range from lethargy to almost like asthma like symptoms, like you can't breathe. And I just remember as this began to progress as I aged, that all of the little tactics that I would do to power through this feeling would not work any longer. And it wasn't until my sister died that we all got genetically tested, and I was told by a cardiologist in Los Angeles that this is what I had. And he added this. He said, "You're a walking time bomb. What happened to your sister, you are right on the brink of having that experience yourself." And if you know my journey, my spiritual journey, body, mind science, religious science, affirmation, affirmative prayer, also having grown up under the tutelage of my surrogate mom, Louise Hay, I was just going to heal myself. And so I listened to him and I told him no, that I wasn't going to buy into his fear and that I was going to give myself some time. And that angered him so much. Rightfully so. I give him credit. He's only doing his job. But I walked out of Cedar Sinai in Los Angeles deciding that if Louise could heal herself, I was going to heal myself also. And I was going to give myself a year. I was going to take a year and I was going to really examine, modify, and change everything about my life to enhance the quality of my life, my care, my mental state. And I did. It was an incredible year. It was an incredible year. I remember doing all the typical things like diet and exercise, but I also got heavily involved in yoga and was going to yoga constantly, almost every day, to the point where I would have what they called the yoga high. Like I'd be in class and things would sort of evaporate, and I would be in this state of bliss and void and no thingness. And it was so beautiful and such peaceful experiences for me that I would just keep going to yoga. I would travel and I would look for yoga studios wherever I would travel. Many, many, many things. Conversations became more conscious, decision points became more conscious, bold decision making about plans and what I wanted to do and how I wanted to spend my time. You get the picture. And so I was excited when that year was coming to a close because one of my intentions was is that I was going to find a new cardiologist, one who was like-minded, and I was just certain that as I got retested, that the walls of my atrial and ventricle would have lessened, and that I was on my way to complete and total health. If Louise could do it, I could do it. So the day came and the appointment came, and I went in, and the doctor was wonderful. He said, tell me what's going on. Tell me, share with me what you've been doing. And so I did. I told him about the whole year and all of the decisions that I made. And when I was finished, he said, wow. He goes, I got to hand it to you. There's not very many people that I come across who would take matters into their own hands like this and do the work required that you have done. I am just so impressed. And I just want to congratulate you on that. And then there was a pause. And he said, and and you still have it. And he goes, David, it's really advanced. The gradient's percentage rate is in a danger zone. And what happened to your sister is really, really just could be any moment. And he goes, I really, because it's my job and because I see that you have lots of life in you, I want you to succeed. I want you to live. And then he said this, um, I want you to think about it this way, that what you are being provided, the opportunity that is being given to you, your sister did not have. And in order to cherish the legacy of your sister, why not do this in her honor? Why not make the decision to live and prolong life for her? And see that because of her, you are aware of this. Because of her, you have the opportunity to change and to shift and to make a decision that she did not have, that she was not aware of. And that was a sobering thing to hear. The shock and the sort of pity party that I was experiencing of being a bad spiritual manifester or lacking whatever was required to heal properly really dissipated fast because I saw what he was saying to me. And I said, you know, you're right. One of the things that we often teach in religious science and in body mind science and metaphysics is that God, the conceptual understanding of God, which is wholeness or light, power, any virtue you want to apply, life itself, you know, that it works through a pill and a prayer, meaning it works through technology and the mind of the person who created the technology, as well as the power of the word. It works in tandem with that. And when I left that appointment, I immediately went and registered for the surgery. And I'll never forget, it was February the 4th, 2004. So it's been a little over 20 years since that surgery. And that same year, in fact, the following December, I was on an airplane to go speak somewhere, and the device went off, meaning I hadn't felt well for a couple of days leading up to that, like weird tingly sensations. And I was unaware that my heart was racing and beating so fast. And this, and I was about to experience what my sister experienced. And this jolted me. It was like an electric shock, like you would walk or imagine walking into an electric fence. And it was instantaneous, and it was on Southwest Airlines. And I remember like screaming because I was putting my luggage in the overhead bin. Poor woman behind me, I scared her half to death. But as soon as it happened, it was over. And as soon as it happened, I felt immediately better, like it regulated everything within me. And it's never happened since. And yet, over the course of these last 20 years, many additional things have gone on, and surgeries and all kinds of things that have required me to really do a lot of introspection and make a lot of choices. And so all of that was coming back to me as I was there for this stress test and thinking about my friend and thinking about that year where I was going to do all of these things. And it reminded me of Stephen Levine, the author. And I had this book in my library, and it's called A Year to Live. A Year to Live. It's a fantastic book that chronicles an experiment that he decided to put himself through, kind of the same way that I did. And one of the things he said about this experiment and about this conscious decision making centers around gratitude. And before you tune out, because I just said the word gratitude and we all go kind of dull because it's just sometimes so much jargon coming our way, I want you to now pay attention, because he said gratitude is the highest form of acceptance. Let me break that down. Gratitude is the highest form of acceptance, meaning that in this human experience, we do get to accept humanity and all of its malfunctioning and all of its impermanence and all of its seemingly disorder. And because those things are happening to us, it does not mean that we're doing anything wrong. It's because we are immersed in the human journey, which is filled with all of that unpredictability. And if we cannot be in gratitude for every phase of the unpredictability, if we cannot find some semblance of gratitude for the seeming malfunction or the genetic disorder or the misfortune or the wounding or the story or the fear, if we are not able to cultivate some semblance of gratitude, then we are missing out on the highest form of healing, which is acceptance. And so when that doctor said those words to me, he was inviting me to accept what was going on and to make new decisions. Gratitude is the highest form of acceptance. He says, like patience, it is one of the catalytic agents, one of the alchemist's secrets for turning dross to gold, hell to heaven, death to life. He says, where there is gratitude, we get the teaching. What a sentence. Where there is gratitude, we get the teaching, meaning where there is this acceptance of being human, we get and understand the impermanence of our journey and our time here, and that what we have before us is to be able to look at the seeming disorder or dis-ease or chaos or inequity. We get to look at those things and continue to cultivate and go beyond the appearance of that, to not only accept what is, but then to act from that acceptance. Do you see what I mean? We get to decide if I have 1 year to live, I'm going to create an experiment. And no matter what befalls me, no matter what challenge comes my way, I'm going to remember that beyond this seeming challenge is a grace and an order and a divinity that awaits me penetrating through any resistance or any attempt to want to push it and shove it in a closet and ignore it. That I get to face day to day the seeming inequity and bring my own brand of equality and support and love and encouragement and advocacy to those situations without becoming defeatist and a nihilist and going, what's the point? Shutting down, closing it all up. Gratitude, gratitude. Where there is gratitude, we get the teaching. And I was thinking, where there is gratitude, we get to the assignment. We get the soul's assignment that you and I have been placed upon this earth to experience and to participate in consciously, expansively, to love one another, to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to house those who are unsheltered, to find ways to bring um, um, a, a comfort to those who are suffering. That becomes the part. So where there is gratitude, we get the teaching. And so I could have laid on that table and just go, oh, I'm so sick of this. I wish I'd never had this issue. And I was grateful going, wow, look at this technology that is doing all of this work. And as I await the results this week, it's not about the results. It's about the fact that regardless of how this journey has modified my life or enhanced my life, that it's all perfect. And then he says, where there is resistance, we discover only that it keeps us painfully ignorant. Ooh, combined together, where there is gratitude, we get the teaching. Where there is resistance, we discover only that it keeps us painfully ignorant. I wonder what it would be like for you and I in this time, in this moment, whenever it is that you're listening to this, decide, hey, it's time for a new experiment. It's time for a, what if I have 1 year to live? What will I begin to shift and change? And to not just think about it, but to begin to take some serious action, to begin to look at what does and doesn't serve you. And just like that year that I had, I'll never forget that year. Every morning I would wake up and go, what if this is it? Because that other cardiologist's voice was echoing in my head. You're a walking time bomb. So I don't want you to have that in your head. But what I want you to focus on is, how can I expand my level of gratitude? If I am a vessel that is infinite in nature, how much gratitude can I produce? Can I participate in order to get the teaching or get the assignment? And how much resistance can I begin to let go of? No matter how committed you are or justified in your resistance, it's not the point. Pretend it's an experiment. Remember, for an experiment, can you let some of that resistance go? Can you let some of that anger go? Can you let some of that dullness and habituated action go? And begin to just give yourself the gift that gratitude brings, the results that gratitude brings, and begin to reawaken to your purpose and your abilities and everything that wants to co-create with you. That's my wish for you. I want to take this experiment with you. I'm ready to do this again. It's been a wild 20 years, and I am excited about what the next 20 might bring. I hope you'll come with me, and let's do this together. Blessings.